Have you ever heard the whispers of the forgotten forest? They say that deep within its heart, in a quiet village called Nyera, lies a lake of secrets. And on that lake, a legend comes to life. At the stroke of midnight, when the water is perfectly still, a glass swan appears. It's not a creature of flesh and bone, but one of pure, shimmering crystal, glowing under the moonlight. The legend says if you make a promise to the swan and hold it in your heart until the sun rises, your deepest wish will come true. But there's a catch. If you break that promise, you're cursed to wander the lake forever, a silent ghost beneath the waves. One stormy night, a young fisherman named Echo, his nets always empty and his spirit worn thin, found himself at the edge of this mystical lake. The rain was coming down in sheets, but through the gloom, he saw it a soft, ethereal glow. The glass swan, it pulled him in, a beacon in his sea of despair. Without a second thought, his voice barely a whisper against the wind, he made his vow. "I promise," he said, "by dawn, bring me the greatest catch I have ever seen." The swan dipped its crystalline head in a slow, graceful nod. Its glass wings scraped the surface of the water, sending ripples of silver light across the darkness. Hope, for the first time in a long time, bloomed in Echo's chest. He turned and left, his heart racing with anticipation. But as the night wore on and the storm subsided, a different feeling began to creep into his heart. Guilt. He saw his sister's hungry eyes in his mind, heard the angry shouts of the merchants at the pier to whom he owed so much. Fear and greed began to twist his promise. Was one great catch enough? What if it wasn't? Overwhelmed, he abandoned his post. He ran back to the lake, his mind in a panic, but he was too late. He saw the last of the swan's glow fade into the inky water. In a fit of desperation, he tore the small paper where he'd scribbled his promise, scattering the pieces into the lake as if to erase his mistake. The next morning, Echo's boat did return to the village. But it wasn't filled with fish. Tangled in his own nets was the body of a drowned man. Horrified and consumed by shame, Echo fled Nyera, disappearing into the shadows. For years after, the village lived with the echo of that night. Strange, mournful songs would drift from the lake at midnight. Some claimed to see the lonely silhouette of a fisherman drifting aimlessly, a ghost on the water. The surface would sometimes reflect the image of a shimmering swan, but only for those haunted by their own broken promises. The lake became a place of sorrow. Then, one moonlit evening, a young woman came to the shore. It was Lena, Echo's sister, now grown. She hadn't come to make a wish or demand a miracle. She knelt by the water, her heart full of a quiet understanding. Instead of greed, she offered kindness. "Take only what you need," she whispered to the still water. From the depths, the glass swan emerged, its wings arched in a majestic curve. It dipped its beak into the lake and gently lifted a single, tiny fish, simple, humble, and pure. Lena accepted the gift with a bowed head, a silent thank you passing between them. And then the swan vanished. The next morning, the village fishermen cast their nets. They weren't filled with gold or treasure, but they were full. Full of enough fish to feed everyone, enough to pay off old debts, enough to heal old wounds and bring a flicker of hope back to Nyera. The haunting songs on the lake ceased. The water was calm once more. The village learned a powerful lesson that day. True blessings don't come from greedy demands or broken vows. They come from respect, from humility, and from the simple, profound power of keeping your word. A promise made under the moonlight must be honored by the light of day, because it's our honesty that restores not just our fortunes, but our faith in ourselves and each other. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the forgotten corners of the world. See you next time.